Good morning, good afternoon or good evening, Mr. Gandalf, whatever time of day it is. Short video here just to show you the radio system in the camper van. It's a single DIN radio and it'll fit into the majority of vehicles. And up here is the internal aerial. It's mounted on the inside of the windscreen, up as high as I could, and it's a powered amplified aerial, which means it's pretty good on AM, FM and long wave, medium wave frequency bands, and also VHF FM. And this is the radio, and if I press this button here it'll turn it on. That's on Radio 2, broadcasting from Cardiff. Capital A FM from Cardiff. This is Virgin AM on the AM band, broadcasting from Oxfordshire. That's medium wave. Also medium wave here is Radio Wales, broadcasting from Welshpool, sort of mid Wales. And Radio 1 from the other side of Cardiff. Back to Radio 2. It plays CDs as well. So I just place a CD in there and it picks it up. This is the track number and this is the seconds of the track, or the time. Okay. The buttons here, you got the eject button, menu, band, which is for the radio, angle plus, angle minus. Over here is Ariel, which is release. A USB socket where you can plug a memory stick in with music on, etc. An auxiliary socket, which is a small headphone type socket, but it's for an input, so you can plug a Walkman or such device in there. And under here is a dim button, which changes the brightness of the LCD. If I eject the CD, it'll switch back to radio. Not only does it play audio media, it'll play MP3s, MP4s, and also DVDs. Now you might say, hi Mike, you can listen to DVDs, but you'd like to see it as well. So press this button and the LCD screen will merge from within the unit, and it becomes a DVD player. There we go. Now, within its right, this is the original unit that we bought. And that was about it. If I put it into reverse, it will also bring up the rear view camera on the van, so you'll be able to see behind us. I'll demonstrate that in a moment. So that's playing a DVD. If I press eject, it'll go back to radio. But instead of just having the radio on the LCD screen below, it's now on the main LCD panel. Now when you're driving, it can be a little bit annoying, hence why it's handy to have this button to retract it out of the way. But if you're going to use this with its other functions, i.e. as reversing camera, it's ideal to leave it upwards, but you can dim it down and it'll automatically switch on when you put it into reverse. So if I press this button, it's blank at the moment. If I put it in reverse, it will come on and show what's behind me. So this is how it was originally. I added an Android chip to it, which has added a lot of functionality. If I press menu, it now switches to the Android, and from here you can actually use DAB. For example, if I press this button now, the play, it'll now start playing Kingdom FM from Fife. Well, that's the DAB side of it. So if you've not got a decent analog radio signal, it's a good chance you'll get the DAB, or even you can connect this to your mobile phone or a Wi-Fi network, and it'll connect the DAB via the internet. So it'll check both routes. So, as it's an Android, there are many functions you can use. One of the favourite functions, I suppose, is the sat-nav. I'm trying to find a decent position to hold the camera. There we go. So, you don't need a mobile phone connection for this. It uses a GPS signal and the maps are all saved within the unit. Over here is the GPS receiver. And from here, if I press this button, which is the microphone button, I can give it directions. Or rather, I can ask it directions. Take me to Kirkcaldy. The microphone is in around this area. Oh, there it is, there, the mic. I'll show you another reason for having a microphone on this in a moment. So it's now going to work out the best route to Kirkcaldy. It gives you the time, it'll automatically start, and it'll give you navigational tips all the way, and if there are any hold-ups or rerouting, it will reroute you as well. And as soon as I start driving, it will give me directions. So this is general sat-nav. This is using Google Maps, but there are several other apps that are built in we could use, all of which you don't need Wi-Fi connection, so you can use it wherever you are at all times. So if I go back to the menu button, this is the main Android screen. The maps will appear in the bottom corner, so you can still keep an eye on your routing, but you also got access to stop and start the play the radio. Other functions this has or gives availability to is this little program called Talk. Now, the reason for this is, let me just hide the map. This particular van has very limited dials. We have a fuel gauge, a clock, a speedometer and a temperature gauge, and that is it. And the temperature gauge isn't very good. So I've connected via Bluetooth to this app, which is called Talk, and this actually replicates the van. As you can see, the revs, the air intake and the vacuum from the turbo, and our GPS speed, along with the coolant temperature and the battery voltage. So if I sit over in the driver's seat now and rev the engine, you can see that the revs go up and down. The intake will also increase slightly because I'm sucking more air in through the vacuum, and also the boost at the bottom is the turbo. So if I rev out to the turbo cuts in, there we are, it shows the PSI of the turbo, and the battery there shows 14.2 volts. We know it's know that the alternator is providing sufficient power. Okay, so this is one of the other functions that you have in this device. It's not just a radio, it's a central communications device for lots of things, but it's all in one place, and you have one unit which does everything, which is quite handy really. But all in all, it is a radio, and all these extra things are just extras that you may or may not use, but you can, as it's an Android, there are many other functions you can use. There are other applications. One of my favourites is this one here, Agma car launcher. It's basically a front end screen. It's a nice one for in the background while you're driving, because you have all these buttons where you can actually select all the applications. It shows your Wi-Fi connection, the amount of satellites that come in through the GPS, and the current weather. Although you can tell by looking at the window that it's showery. You can also change the brightness set and the settings. You can play radio from here as well. For example, if I tap on that button, it will load up. I've had it tuned to an Irish radio station, so if I just tap that, this is via the internet. This is an internet radio station. Then if I go back to there, it then shows the name of the radio station, and from here you can actually change radio stations. And again, if you've not got a very good radio signal, but you have a Wi-Fi signal nearby, you can tap into the Wi-Fi signal and get radio stations, etc. via the Wi-Fi or via the internet. I've fitted some extra controls on here. These are steering wheel type controls. Can we see that one there? Basically from there I can adjust the volume up and down, which means I don't have to take my hands off the steering wheel. I can also change radio stations from here, so it's very handy. Literally, keep my hands on the wheel and be able to do lots of things. Okay, another function I wanted to show you is the reversing camera. And for this I'm in the car to show you that, because the one in the van is slightly different as it uses a windscreen. But this is the same, there's the same screen I have in the van. If I put this into reverse, it automatically shows what's behind me.